Just a disclaimer, this video is about not really a touchy subject. This just ain't gonna be the happy-go-lucky, strictly basketball stuff like normal. Obviously, I want the best for all players. I hope every athlete gets the biggest bag possible, is successful, reaches their fullest potential, etc. Unfortunately, that very rarely happens. And one of the reasons it doesn't happen is the thing this video is centered around. Injuries. I feel a little weird making this video. I really don't want it to come off as me hating on the guys I mentioned, so if it does, I'm sorry. This is just an unfortunate part of sports that I feel like we have to discuss. So with that disclaimer out of the way, if you enjoy this content, like and subscribe. Comment how you feel about my thoughts down below, share this video with a friend, and welcome to the Sweatshop. 56%, 46%. What are these numbers? Field goal percentages? No. Your grades in the class your teacher caught you edging it? Extremely no. Also, find God. These percentages, my friends, are the percentage of available games two of the most popular young stars in our league have played as of the end of the 2023-24 regular season. That's for their careers, just to clarify, not just this season. For the entirety of Zion Williamson and LaMelo Ball's careers, they have been almost as or more likely to miss a game than to play it. And I don't know why, but when I put the injury-prone issue into this perspective, a switch finally flipped for me. I finally understood that overused phrase that everyone employs when talking about the players in our league whose talent is only matched by their fragility. Availability is the best ability. Now, let's really sit down and dissect that statement. Availability really is the best ability, because if you're not available, you do not even get the chance to use your ability. If you average 28 points per game but only play half the games, why do we consider you more valuable than someone who averages 20 but plays all the games? After all, the guy who averaged 20 scored more total points. It doesn't make logical sense to me, but after some pondering, I think I finally came up with a decent answer to this conundrum. We as basketball fans treat injuries as 95% luck and 5% skill, when the splits may be the other way around. What do I mean by this? Well, before I explain, just like and subscribe. No gimmicks, no fancy schmancy bullshit. Just like and subscribe. Okay, but what do I mean by we treat injuries as 95% luck and 5% skill when it may be the other way around? Well, to explain this further, let me walk you guys through a search I did on StatHead. Unsponsored, obviously, look at the size of the channel. I just really like this tool on Basketball Reference. For the criteria of this search, I included the following. I wanted to find every player since the merger who played under 200 games over the course of their first 4 seasons in the league while averaging at least 25 minutes per game. I formatted the search this way so I could try and find all the players who missed as many games as our two main guys have to start their careers and see what percentage of success stories there are. Quick editor's note, I was not able to include players that missed their full first year due to injury because Basketball Reference does not count it as a season played. So for instance, Blake Griffin or Chet Holmgren missing their first year would not count against them for this little search I'm doing. Just as a sanity check, I went through all the players I could think of that missed their rookie season, and the only one that fell below my threshold was Joel Embiid, who would be the most successful player on this list I compiled, but his continued injury issues also bolster my argument. Let me know if there's any other guys I missed down below in the comment section. Back to the video though, I wanted to compile a list of guys who missed as many or more games than LaMelo and Zion had through the first 4 years of their career, just to see how many success stories there were. If there are a lot of all-stars, Hall of Famers, etc. And what I found was there were none. No real success stories. I mean, there were definitely good players, but we are looking for guys that reached the highest of the highs in the NBA. And out of all the guys on the list, the best player is Zydrunas Ilgauskas, maybe Michael Porter Jr., although we haven't seen his full career yet. Other than those two, we got guys like Markelle Fultz, Sean Livingston, Dennis Smith Jr., Marvin Bagley III, Sam Bowie, and a few other older guys that had solid careers, but I just don't know much about them. All of these guys are at least solid players. Some are pretty good. Some are even champions. As I said in the disclaimer, I mean absolutely no disrespect to any of these guys, but I'm sorry. These are the best case scenarios for the career arcs Zion and LaMelo are on in terms of games missed. The absolute best case scenario is Zydrunas Ilgauskas, a player who peaked as a bad number 2 on a championship contender. No disrespect against Big Z. Again, very solid player. But if our Big Z ends up with the career of that Big Z, then that would be a huge disappointment. If LaMelo Ball ends up having the career of a Markelle Fultz, Sean Livingston, Dennis Smith Jr., that would also be a huge disappointment. Unfortunate and harsh? Yes. More probable than not, though? Maybe. And that's the point I'm trying to get across. All of us, when we are talking about Zion, and LaMelo especially, we are just stuck in this mindset of, oh, this guy is already an elite talent. He just needs to stop getting injured and he'll be a perennial all-star. And I do understand this point to some degree. Honestly, I'm not even sure if I fully disagree with it myself. Basketball and sports in general just have so many factors and variables in them that a lot of people just make the understandable assumption that injuries are out of these athletes' control for the most part. But look at this list. I don't see a single great or even really good player on this list. That means that the all-timers we are projecting these players to be, they were never as unlucky with injuries as these guys were. So at what point are injuries actually unlucky? And at what point do injuries point to some skill a player lacks? A lack of durability. We already give older guys this treatment. No one trusted Kawhi Leonard's health outside of the 3 Clippers fans in Los Angeles, and those that doubted his health were proven correct once again. This was Kawhi's most healthy season in nearly a decade, and he still ended up getting injured just in time to miss most of the Clippers' playoff run. No one trusted Embiid's health. He's been banged up for essentially every playoff run of his career, and surprise, surprise everyone, he was once again hobbled by the time the postseason rolled around. The lack of trust the general public has in these guys' health shows that there is clearly some threshold of games missed that, if crossed, signals to the entirety of NBA fandom that these guys don't have the durability required to play starter minutes of high-level basketball for a full 82-game season. I'm just trying to propose the possibility, the potential argument, that maybe that threshold should be a bit lower. Maybe 4 seasons of injury proneness is enough. We haven't seen anyone recover from it and end up with an overwhelmingly successful career. Maybe 150 games missed over just the first half-decade of a player's career is enough to signal to us that the player in question just doesn't have the durability required to be an all-star level contributor for a full season. And if that's the case, we shouldn't be assuming that our young NBA stars plagued by injury are just going to be able to flip a switch at some point and be healthy. Maybe we should take a more proactive approach. Assume that the player is going to get injured at some point in the season and take every possible action we can to mitigate the potential of the injury hampering our team. How do you do that? I got 2 solutions. 1, consider trading these guys while their value is still high. Call me a mark, call me an idiot. Say I don't understand basketball, I understand your trepidation. I'm just saying, if we've never seen anyone as injury prone as these guys recover and have a perennial all-star type career, then shouldn't we trade these guys while people still believe they have that potential and we can get a perennial all-star type haul for them? I'm gonna be honest. Last offseason, if I was the Pelicans, I would have traded Zion to the Blazers for this exact reason. I don't know if you're going to get more than 3 or 4 fully healthy Zion seasons over the course of his career, meaning that his trade value may never be higher than it is right now. If you believe that, then you may as well trade him while he's still young and his general perception around the league is still fairly high. I wouldn't do that now that he's had a kind of healthy season, where at least the injury he had was just a soft tissue and nothing joint related, but still, it's something to think about. Logically, to me, this makes the most sense, although there are a lot of reasons why something like this will most certainly almost never happen. The main issue with this is, if you're the GM in this situation, easier to justify to your owner the decision to keep the player even if they keep getting injured than it is to justify trading away the star player and then them revitalizing their career on another team. Imagine if David Griffin traded away the most lauded prospect since LeBron James for a solid haul, and then Zion just happens to reach his fullest potential on a different team. All of NBA media would unite to clown this man out of a job. Now again, is it likely this revitalization will happen? No. But the possibility of it happening, no matter how slim, is enough to keep GMs from making this move. This is similar to what Michael McKelvey spoke about in his video, "You'll never look at the NFL draft the same." Sure, the best move a team can make is to acquire as many assets as possible, but if the GM isn't guaranteed to have a job when they are able to use said assets, then they probably aren't going to make the move. The second issue with this type of move is the talent conversation we set aside earlier. Yes, availability is the best ability, but players with the overall ability of a LaMelo Ball, Zion Williamson, Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid, they just don't grow on trees. Sure, you can trade those guys for 5 picks and knock it out of the park on all 5 picks getting a full lineup of starter level players, but that doesn't mean anything without having a player on the same level as the star player that you just traded. Thus, the absolute best case scenario would be to try and find a way to get your star player through the regular season and just have them healthy for the playoffs. That leads us to our second approach, and I'm sorry in advance to all the old heads this is going to upset: load management. I'm sorry, but if we know these guys can't play starter minutes for a full NBA season, then why play them starter minutes for a full NBA season, right? Problem solved. Don't play them in any back-to-back, which they're already kind of doing. Cap them out at 30 minutes in each game. Hopefully they average like 27 to 28. You do all that, then hopefully they are fully healthy for the playoffs and they're ready to up their minutes per game to 36-ish and carry you through the competition. Well, that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching the entire video. If you enjoyed this content at all, please like and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. Comment down below what you think about this conversation I'm proposing. Share the video with a friend. And as always, stay sweaty. Stay sweaty, ladies and gentlemen.